We are here today to announce a long-time supporter and friend of rugby, Land Rover, are joining us here at Rugby Australia. It's exciting to have them here as the official vehicle of the Qantas Wallabies. In the room today, we have Wallabies Michael Hooper and David Pocock, Coach Michael Cheika, and later on they're going to share their thoughts around rugby and the big international season that we have coming up. I'd like to welcome Land Rover Managing Director Matthew Wiesner to Rugby Australia HQ. It's great to have you here today, and he's going to help me announce this major partnership. Land Rover, as you know, have been involved in Australian rugby, supporting the game at various levels for several years, and are huge supporters of rugby worldwide. For the upcoming 2018 season, the Land Rover logo will appear on the back of the Wallabies playing shorts and training shorts, as well as on the official match balls for all Wallaby test matches played in Australia. The synergies between Wallabies and Land Rover go a long way. Significantly, both brands pride themselves on intelligence, performance and precision. It is at the forefront of everything we do. From the moment of conception to the open road, Land Rover aims to fulfil the brand promise to go above and beyond. And this can be seen through their comprehensive involvement with Australian rugby. It is a notion that Michael and the players will all agree that applies very much to their own roles and their own lives as Wallabies. In a team sport like rugby, everyone's role is equally important, and every inch matters from the training pitch through to the biggest stage in the world. So it's a huge welcome to Land Rover, to our Wallaby family. We are looking forward to working with you and bringing life to a long and successful partnership. Thank you for joining us and helping to be here today to help celebrate this fantastic announcement. Thank you very much.
So, Michael, first question, before we talk about last year and what's ahead, what do you do in the last few weeks, which is a little bit different to rugby?
You're not bad, are you? So, this is the opportunity, I suppose, for me to get a bit of my own headspace right too. Over the last 10 days, I've been gone back to do a bit of follow-up on my education stuff overseas, and then we had a bit of a coaches, get-together, symposium or whatever from coaches around the world, NFL, NBA, AFL, English soccer, Cirque du Soleil, Sky Racing, the racing bike team. Had just talked sport for a couple of days and performance, etc. Now, just happened to be in Minneapolis where the Super Bowl was on, so I witnessed my first game of NFL ever, which was pretty cool. It was pretty exciting, and they can certainly do their sport over there, there's no doubt about it. I know there's 300 million of them, but they can do sport over there in a timely manner. So it was a very good experience. I came back with a lot of knowledge, and hopefully the goal is to use that to make myself better and then therefore make the team better this season.
Yeah, well, that's a nice, I guess, segue into, you've probably had a chance to look at last season, 2017, that's in the rearview vision mirror, so to speak. What were your learnings from last year which you think are going to help you going into 2018? Yeah,
as much as you say it's in the rearview mirror, it's part of what we own going forward into the seasons ahead. I think post 15 we made a clear decision about what we wanted to do with the team, how we wanted to, the attitude I suppose we wanted to have, and what players we needed to do that. Since then we've had, I suppose, 26 debutants. The majority of those, I'd say over 20, are still in and around the squad. And we've identified that this year, 2018, now that we've built our depth, will be a year that we need to start to deliver on some of the key ideas that we think are going to take us higher in the rankings as we go towards the World Cup. Number one, our physical condition. We've worked hard with Super Rugby coaches, and they've been really, I really want to give them a rap here now as the Super Rugby season starts. They've been excellent in their approach to collaboration while still maintaining a little bit of that competitive edge, you know what I mean? And I don't want to give them too much, you know what I mean, but we'll give you something. And I think that's been working on individual relationships, and what that's happened is all our players have come back in looking better than they have over the past few seasons. All the training markers are looking good so far, and We're really positive. I'm not even sure the way the rules work if we can get 4 teams in the finals, but we're so keen to see our teams run out this year, because I think that working together, even though it hasn't been easy, and we're starting to normalise that process, is going to give everyone a better outcome, and therefore a better outcome for us when we get to June. And it's going to be a big series in June against Ireland.
Well, it's going to be massive. But before we get to June, well, that'll be probably the last question I'll ask, mate. How important is the Super Rugby in terms of, you spoke about the players' condition, but also just the team's performance being consistent in Super Rugby to help you guys in terms of the Wallabies in June?
Yeah, I think we spoke a lot last year about the fitness side of things. And I know that's being worked on. I've got a strong belief that that's going to be a good progression for us this year. I don't think it's going to be perfect, but we're headed in very much the right direction. Footy-wise, there's a few things that are important. Number one, the self-belief of players. I've been pretty outspoken on the fact that we need to believe more in ourselves about what we can achieve as players, as coaches, as a governing body as a whole. So going out there and playing good footy is going to do one thing, and that's going to get people watching the game, enjoying the game, back in the stadiums, and that'll flow onto us, and no doubt about it. We're a collective, we're a product of what happens in Super Rugby. When our teams fire in Super Rugby, we'll fire. And obviously from my perspective as the Australian coach, when we go to the matches, all of us as coaches, we want to see our teams do well, not only beat the opposition countries, the overseas nations teams, but also compete hard against each other.
Yeah, well, that's true. And then you fast forward 4 or 5 months and you're playing a country that's well and truly on the rise. You wouldn't even say that they've been consistently very, very good. You coached over there, you coached Leinster in Ireland. What do you expect from this Irish team in June?
Yeah, I think one thing we've seen from Ireland is a lot of consistency. They know they've got a very particular way they play, and they deliver it every week, no matter what. So you have to be very, very good in the way you approach the game, or clever in the way you approach their game, and also in how you can break them down, because very, very disciplined side. And I've obviously got a lot of connections into the people who both play, coach, etc., and are in the background of the Irish team. So it's always a great fun when we either go there or we get to play against them, and I'm sure we're going to fire that rivalry up again when they come down under.
And Poey, I saw some imagery of you in Japan. I was there like early December, but I'll expand my Japanese, but you Genki, isn't you feeling good?
Genki desu. Yeah, really enjoyed the time there, and obviously lost to your old club in the final, which was disappointing. And then I guess coming back and the Brumbies were keen for me to get my knee fixed before we get into the season. So I've been around the club and it's going well. I've been incredibly impressed with the work ethic and just Check touched on the fitness side of things, just how much work the Brumbies are putting in. It's a young team and I haven't seen buy-in like that for a long time. So I'm excited about being part of it.
And you talk about that excitement, Australian rugby. It's great to see you back. How was that year off from playing in Australia? Was it something that has recharged that drive for you to be back here and trying to perform at your best?
Yeah, it was something that I was a little bit nervous about it, to be honest, but really enjoyed it. Parts of it were challenging, but on the whole, it was a great time away from rugby, and then I think a great experience in Japan. A different way of approaching the game, and a different way of approaching training as well. So I felt like I learned a lot from that, and hopefully bring a few of those things back to the Brumbies.
And same question to you, David. What do you think is going to be required in terms of that consistency from a Brumbies perspective in Super Rugby?
Yeah, I think a lot of what Mick talked about is getting your squad up to that level, and then managing the guys so that you've got the best players on the park. And I think the initiative from Rugby Australia and giving some of the Wallaby guys a little bit of extra rest, will pay off when guys are a bit fresher come the end of mid-super, end of super. It's a long season, so I think that plays a big part as well. We've got an Irish trainer at the Brumbies, Barry Horgan, and I think in the last few days he's talked me through all 50 phases and the drop goal about 10 times. So, I think they're a team that's consistent and have a lot of belief in themselves. So it's going to be a tough series, but it's exciting. It's exciting having a team of that calibre here for 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, just will lighten the load a little bit. How good is it to have someone like Land Rover supporting at provincial level and also the Wallabies?
Yeah, it's huge. You're having a brand that's so well respected, and I guess they live a lot of the values that we talk about in rugby. And as I said, you go to the World Cup and they're there. So yeah, I think it's a great move for Australian rugby, and I'm sure it'll be a good partnership. Yeah, I think that obviously hard work in pre-season and bringing that consistent preparation to each game week. I think trying to avoid the roller coaster that you tend to go on with a win or a loss, and trying to even that out a bit and develop, I guess, that self-belief that when you were at the Brums and I was watching as a little kid. I guess that was one of the things that really stood out is even when you guys were behind in a game, there was that belief that we just keep playing how we play, and we'll probably be good enough to get there in the end. So I think that's something that we've been trying to work on, is that belief, not only as an individual in your role and your ability to step up, but as a collective in the way that you're trying to play, and the belief that on the day if you go out there and execute your role, then the result will take care of itself.